Going live.
Okay. Are you in the video?
Okay, we should be good now.
Okay, share it and then. All right. Hello, everyone.
All right, I'm just working out how to make sure we're still streaming on the page. Okay, yep. Both videos are showing, so we are good.
If you all can hear this, sorry for the late start and the technical difficulties. Things happen. It's no big deal.
It looks like my borders that I set up around the screen are also working. So that's good.
Cool.
Yeah, I think we're all set. Finally. I can't believe literally 5 minutes till show.
You know what?
My camera just stopped working.
Whatever
it was.
We're not the first people to have a bumpy start in something. So I mean.
Oh, for sure.
There's no that doesn't mean anything. Yeah. So.
No, but dude, I was getting so frustrated, and I'm like, why now?
Right? No, I completely understand you. I was feeling the same way, but I mean, things happen.
Yeah,
and we're all good. So, I kind of want to jump right into this.
Yeah, please.
I wanted to start things off with a quote here, and then I was going to say something, and then I was going to let Tim take it from there for a little bit after I say something.
Yeah, go ahead.
Now, I mean, I'm not a huge supporter of John McCain. I just really like these words that he has said here.
Mm-hmm.
They really speak to me. So it says, we weaken our greatness when we confuse our patriotism with tribal rivalries that have sown resentment and hatred and violence in all the corners of the globe. We weaken it when we hide behind walls rather than tear them down, when we doubt the power of our ideals rather than trust them to be the great force for change they always have been. Now, I mean,
I like that.
Say whatever you want about John McCain. Call him,
sure.
Call him a warmonger, whatever you want to call him. But I mean, it doesn't matter. Anybody else could have said those words. Those words are still true.
Yeah, definitely. And I've said that before. Like, even though he's done other things, at least that was sensible.
Yeah. Those words made sense.
Yeah, for sure.
And I believe that we do live in a great nation. I don't doubt that at all. But lately, I feel like we as Americans have forgotten what it means to be an American.
Yeah, so I know for the past week we've been talking about ideas we want to talk about, and I know we've kind of agreed on understanding and communication and stuff like that.
Right.
So I know we talked. Was it earlier today or yesterday? But about how the division in the United States is really just about a lack of understanding.
Absolutely.
A lot of it comes down to people's interpretations of certain terms and policies, and not to any fault of their own. People are told certain things.
Yeah, that's true.
And then you get two people who've been told two different things about the same thing, and you get them in the same room, and they both think they're right.
Yeah. Honestly, that's honestly what it all comes down to. Exactly what you just said there. A huge part of all this divisiveness is that it seems like it's a matter of short-sighted perspective and people being unwilling to look beyond their own views, their own viewpoint.
Right.
We're really not that much different. Whether we're Democrat, Republican, conservative, liberal, even socialist, what I mean? Like even those people that we see that the average American sees as radically different, because it kind of goes against mainstream American values. They still have so much in common with us as people. I've said it before. The blood in our veins, the heart in our chest, and the brain in our head make us more in common than anything else. Oh, and the air in our lungs too. That was the other thing. All of that makes us way more in common than anything else that could divide us. Any concept that could ever try to divide us. And I feel like the more we understand that and try to work together and actually, resolve things that are important to all of us, we're gonna have a much easier time living.
Yeah, for sure. the world is so divided right now between cultures and religions, languages too are huge barriers.
Yeah.
And stuff like that is good. We should be celebrating those differences for sure, and coming together in discussing what is at the core of your beliefs. Because I mean, I've met a lot of conservatives who, when I talk to them, even though I'm personally very liberal, we meet like a mutual understanding in that we want what's best for our kids. We want happy families, happy people. We really want to do what's best for the country.
Right.
Nothing crazy. Like, no one actually wants anybody to get hurt. Nobody actually wants any of that. So when people look at activists and they think that they're violent, it's like, yeah, both sides have violent activists. Both sides are fighting for essentially the same thing.
Absolutely. There's violence on both sides. Absolutely.
Yeah, and we just need to definitely come together and just talk about it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, there are definitely some sides that I see as more moral than the other, but both sides take it to the extreme, and it's no longer a moral issue. It's a human issue.
Yeah.
Like we need to treat each other like human beings, and just, like I said, actually work together, because there's plenty of things that we want to resolve that we all agree on. We can kind of not necessarily forget about other topics, but at least while we're still trying to get settle those other topics, let's for a month or so, let's talk together about stuff that matters to all of us. And then later on, we can go back to, being divided about these other things that we disagree on. But I mean, or not, or we could just, kind of put that stuff to the side forever and just, live.
Yeah, in a perfect world, man.
Yeah, in a perfect world. But that's, I feel like we just need to, I don't even know how can we fight? I mean, yeah, we can talk to people. You and I would love to travel the country,
right.
Talking to people, having guests on this show.
Oh my dude, that would be so much
fun. Slowly but surely, we could start, giving out this message. But and I believe in that. I believe that could happen. But I also do know it won't be the quickest process.
No,
in the world. I mean, getting us becoming popular might happen, pretty quickly, but actually making an impact is going to take a lot of work, and
sure.
I'm down for that.
Yeah,
but
I really hope that we get successful in that. We can really take what we earn and go do good things with it. We definitely talked about that before. When we were talking about the podcast and what we wanted to do with it. I think we talked for like several hours about all these, great ideas that we were going to have in the future, what we wanted to do,
Yeah, no, absolutely. So many different topics that we want to talk about, things that we'd like to do with money made. We're not trying to just keep. I mean, obviously we need to make a paycheck, so we need to.
Yeah.
Some of the money made is going to go towards our living, our standard of living.
Right.
But a lot of that money we want to spend on doing events or even giving back to people directly.
Yep.
So. And also being able to get certain people on the show, because hopefully we would celebrities and stuff would want to come on the show for free just to spread a positive message.
Yeah,
you know
sure.
what I mean. That's
the whole point.
I don't foresee us paying for that. There's definitely a lot of work that's going to go into this, and we need our viewership to help us. We need you guys to like, share, and subscribe. That's how you can help.
What's up? It's your boy.
So, but yeah, I mean,
what I really want to see happen is the whole community, people from all over the world getting together and just talking, man. Just like having pleasant, peaceful, intelligent conversations where people aren't arguing with each other and threatening each other.
We can have that.
Could.
Those people are always going to exist. I firmly believe that a certain type of human is always going to exist. There's always going to be that stubborn,
sure,
person who just doesn't want to, or the person who just has no problem inflicting harm on somebody who they don't believe, who they don't agree with.
Right.
I feel like that's always going to be that type of person. But if those of us that aren't that type of person can, work together and be like, hey, yeah, we've got differences, but at least we're not that guy. At least we're not willing to kill each other over our differences. Why don't we, work together and then those people will always exist, but they'll become less common. They'll become,
right.
some like a fringe thing that like, oh, did you hear about what happened last year in you know what I mean? Like, it would happen like every once in a while, something, you know what I mean? But I feel like crime, if we could actually get together and start speaking to each other and making real change in the world, I feel like crime would go down so much.
Yeah.
Dramatically.
And I personally think that the first step is education.
Absolutely.
Put more money into the schools, teach kids what they actually need to know. Get kids surrounded by people who are going to better them, because kids sincerely are our future, man. And like, it seems almost ridiculous to not want to put all of our money into our children. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely.
Like making sure that they're healthy, making sure that they're smart, making sure that they're physically active, make sure that they're kind people. That's the kind of stuff we need to be, worried about with our kids.
Absolutely.
I'm so tired of the school districts being like, no more this, no more arts centers, no more, cut down on gym time, cut down on lunch time. When I was in school, what did we have, like 30-minute lunches and stuff like that? I mean, it's enough to sit down and eat, but that's it.
Can we get like a home ec? Can a brother get a home ec class?
can a brother get a home ec? But yeah, home ec is huge, man. Typically they only offer it in like one semester. You take a home ec class, but that's it.
Yeah.
My mom was telling me that she took home ec like every year in high school or middle school or something like that, because they just offered it every year. But I think it's important, man. I really think that everybody should take home economics and learn, home skills, stuff that you don't learn elsewhere. A lot of kids, especially in major cities, don't have parents that are, as capable. And again, that's all a byproduct of poor education. You know what I mean? But in order to turn that stuff around, we really need to focus on educating kids from an early age, and getting them exposed to stuff. So as much exposure as they can get is important.
I absolutely agree. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to take a breath here for a second.
No, you're fine, man.
I just feel like, when it comes to certain things, there's a lot of topics that we as people, like, we as Americans, I should say, like, we're we feel like we're on opposite spectrums of it, but when it really comes down to it, we really feel very similarly about it. We're just being very narrow-minded about it. Like, I don't know if you want to get into this topic right now, or it's just, but it's just something that I'm thinking of off the top of my head, is like the topic of stuff like domestic violence and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like there's women complaining about domestic violence, which absolutely because I feel it is definitely the more prevalent form of domestic violence against women.
Yeah,
but there's there's also men, and
Absolutely.
there's men that suffer from domestic violence as well, either from other women or even other men.
Yeah, and to me, I think it's important to also note the distinction of abuse, because really, let's call it what it is abuse, can take form mentally, emotionally, physically, and I think that's just as bad as physically. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And so, I mean, that's something that, so both men and women, whatever side of the political spectrum you're on, that's something I think we can all agree on.
That we need to work on.
That, domestic violence is okay, but I mean, that's just one example. I mean, I'm drawing a blank at the moment. I know I have them all written down because I came up with like a huge list of topics stuff to talk about in the future.
Yeah, if you want to look for them real quick, I just want to take a minute to talk about, abuse and stuff like that, and how important it is that if anybody's out there and listening, like, reach out to somebody. Like, a lot of people think, when they're in that situation, nobody cares. Nobody wants to hear me complain. I don't want my boyfriend or girlfriend or husband or wife to look bad. I still love this person. There's a lot of thoughts that go through your head when you're being abused. And I don't want to be the first one, but if I am the first one, I'm sorry, but seek help. Talk to someone. Really, trust in a friend, trust in someone, even if it's a stranger. Someone will help you.
Well, I mean, the other example that I had, it's the only one I'm really going to mention now, because the other ones just the other topics weren't necessarily related to this, like I thought, but there was one more topic, and that's straight pride. That's something that both sides have similar feelings, and they're really just trying to voice how they feel.
Yeah.
Now I understand that there's, one side I definitely don't, I definitely have like some sort of different disagreement with. Mm-hmm. Like I try to see where they're coming from, and and not say that it's an inherently bad thing to have that stance, and I don't think it is.
Right.
So, but I feel like when these two things are in public, or when they reach like the masses, these two ideas, and then they clash, it just creates it just creates division. It just creates people like arguing with each other, like making assumptions about each other. The LGBT community making assumptions about the other ones, and them making assumptions about the LGBT community. Yeah. And I mean, and the LGBT community has every right to feel the way that they do a lot of things.
Absolutely.
The way that they feel, because they have gone through a lot, especially since the Stonewall riots back in, I forget, what was that, the 1980s? I mean, so things have definitely gotten better, but I feel like there's still a level of respect. Yeah, that they just are not. And
let us know what you guys think too. But me personally, I think it's. Like a lot of things we're going to talk about comes down to a lack of understanding, man. These people that support straight pride and stuff like that, they're not, a lot of them typically aren't anti-LGBT.
No.
They just really think that, with all this LGBT stuff going on, that like people are going to forget about being straight, or that people are going to start thinking that being straight is wrong. And so like, for straight people, they're like, oh my God, I'm going to become a minority. And like, it's like terrifying for them, So.
Well, I think what we have to realize is that one of the main organizers is an openly gay conservative man named Milo Yiannopoulos. I don't necessarily support him.
Yeah.
But he is openly gay, and he is one of the, prime organizers of Straight Pride.
Yeah, but he's an instigator. He's doing it to instigate.
He is. But at the same time, so he doesn't really represent the gay community very much.
I'm pretty sure everyone I know completely denounces him. Like, he doesn't speak for anybody.
No, absolutely not. I know he doesn't.
But a lot of people will take the opportunity to be like, how can I be homophobic? I love Milo Yiannopoulos. You know what I mean? Like, it's not really the same thing.
No, absolutely. No, you're absolutely right. But I don't know. I just feel like, then it's one of those things where, like, there's going to be people on that side that, that are completely against, You know,
Yeah, and that's the problem.
against the real pride community. But then there's going to be those that just feel like, you know, hey, I want to have a voice too. You know,
The Me Too,
I feel
yeah.
I feel like certain things
The
have
what
been
about me?
happening. Yeah, like well, I mean, I wouldn't say it like that, because you know, we can't judge somebody else for the way that they're feeling at the about something. You know what I mean?
No,
As long as they're understanding,
there's nothing inherently wrong with
as,
a what about me.
as long as they're understanding and they're not trying to, you know, stop someone from, you know, being, you know, gay, lesbian, bi, transsexual, or whatever. I mean, they don't necessarily have to agree with it, but as long as they support that person's right to exist, I mean, I would love for them to agree with it and to understand why it's okay.
Yeah,
but
we have to start
more
somewhere.
important that you just that you know, accept their existence.
Yeah. For a lot of people and for a while, it's going to be a matter of just explaining to people there's nothing wrong with this. If you just let them be, you'll come to understand it. You know, I forget where I read this, and I wish I could credit it. But it was something along the lines of, if someone has a problem with someone, force them to make a friend with someone that's like that. You know what I mean? So like, if someone's giving off like racist vibes, like they need to find out, you know, a friend of the race that they're, you know, against, because it's like once you start, you know, for a lot of people that are racist, they just don't talk to people that are, you know, of a particular race or whatever, you know. So it's kind of silly to be against something that you don't really have a lot of interaction. And typically when you meet someone, you find out, hey, we're both people. We both have thoughts, hopes, and prayers. There's really not that much different between each of us.
I think you and I were actually talking about that at one point. I think that's why you remembered it, because you, one of us mentioned that. I think we had both mentioned it on separate occasions when we were talking about like where we want the show to go.
Right.
And we're not, you know, I'm not necessarily trying to ever have, and no, I'm going to say this right now, I'm not ever trying to have, like, you know, a neo-Nazi on the show, or any sort of extremist person.
I don't want to spread any negative messages.
That is not going to happen whatsoever. But do I encourage, you know, the next level down from that is, like, you know, the average American who just has a really big problem with gay people. And those are the people we're trying to reach. That kind of person I might not mind having on the show, just to kind of, because I would also invite somebody from the gay community and say, hey, look, this is a, you know, like just talk to each other and see that you're both just humans. Like, you both probably have problems with each other. But
I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Let's just see that you're both humans.
Yeah.
And you need to, you know, not judge him, and you need to understand that. I mean, I don't know what to tell the LGBT, because there's really nothing they need to understand, to be honest. It's just that
they're not doing anything wrong.
Maybe they're not doing anything wrong. Maybe they just need to, you know, give them a chance, to be honest. Like, just you know, give them a chance to, you know, open their heart, to open their heart a little bit, but I can understand why so many people in the LGBT community are disheartened and maybe don't want to open up their heart, because they feel like they've been, you know, crapped on a lot, and so they feel closed off to these people that disagree with them, and maybe at one point they wanted to, you know, just be like, hey, I'm just a human, and, you know, and wanted to have that conversation with somebody, but we're just totally turned down. Who knows?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we don't know everybody's situation. People deal with that from family.
Yeah. For sure.
So, like, it's a really rough situation. And like I said, I have nothing to really say to the LGBT community about this, except just, you know, just give them a chance. You know, I have plenty of friends who, you know, over the years, like, I didn't realize, you know, that they, when I first became friends with them, that they had a problem with, with the community, but they're not necessarily against it. They just, you know, find it, I don't know, you know, unnatural or whatever. Yeah. And so, you know, but the more and more you know, I've got to know them, and the more I've talked to them about it, you know, they're like, even my father, you know, he's a very conservative Republican, and but he, and, you know, as a God-fearing Christian, You know,
I always love that saying, God-fearing Christian.
You know, like but he has absolutely nothing against, you know, the gay community. That's what I'm trying to say is there are perfectly, you know, there are people within the, you know, God-fearing Christian, conservative, Republican demographic that are just like, it's okay to be gay. So what?
Yeah, no, a lot.
You know what I mean? Like he has no problem with it, and you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's just like you know, for people that are kind of against it, it's like, because I've talked to lots of people like that, and I try to understand, like, look, man, I'm not trying to fight you. I'm not, because a lot of people get reactionary and they start getting aggressive towards people, and so those people tend to run away. And when I see that, especially on Facebook and stuff like that, I'm like, let me message this person, like, let me just, if I can do one thing and just maybe help them see kind of, you know, where everyone's coming from, if it'll help anybody, it's worth trying, you know what I mean? Because I think, you know, people will say things, and then when they receive a negative response, you almost feel victorious. It's almost a rewarding behavior, because you think that what you're doing is unpopular, but in a way that means that you're doing the right thing. You know what I mean? Because they're really taught that, like, you know, if people are angry about you doing something, you're probably doing the right thing. You know, people are genuinely taught that.
Yeah.
You know? And it's that means that you're doing something wrong. It's so crazy.
Yeah, that's an absolutely bad thing. I feel like, yeah, that's really a mindset that we have in this country, that, you know, you need to be up there, you know, you need to be out there rattling people to get your point across. And we've been doing that.
Is the only solution.
We've been doing that for like 40 years, and look where it's gotten us.
Yeah, I was having a conversation with someone earlier, and you know, it was some video totally irrelevant to anything. It was just a random like meme. But the guy made you know, a gross comment about the woman in the video's body, and so everyone was like, "Whoa, come on, really, man? Like, is that necessary? Like, that's just gross, man. Come on, it's 2019. Don't be a misogynist. It's not cool, you know."
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And he was like, "Oh, you guys are a bunch of little pansies. You guys are gonna be so upset in 2020 when Trump wins again." And I'm like, dude, if Trump wins again, there's gonna be a revolution. Like, people are tired of it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I mean, like, it doesn't have to be violent. It doesn't have to be a violent revolution.
Honestly,
like, we really just want.
I'm tired of both sides, to be honest. Like, I don't want another Republican president. I don't want another Democrat president. I don't even want an independent president. I'm literally tired of our entire system.
Yeah, me too. I would love to see a whole overhaul.
And I've only been, you know, understanding it for the past, like, you know, 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
Of my life.
That's longer than me, man. I only recently got into politics.
And I just feel like if you conducted your everyday life the way that we conduct politics in America.
Oh yeah.
Holy sorry, I almost let out a huge bomb right there, but
dude, nothing would ever get done. You heard about what happened? Was it North Carolina, where there was a 9/11 memorial being like, there's like a 9/11 parade or something like that, like a march.
Yep.
And so all the House Democrats, whatever, went to the parade, while the Republicans stayed and held a vote. Which, again, it has to, you know, there's several chains that they have to go through, so it's not like one and done, you know.
Yeah.
But the fact that they even tried to do something like that is just so sketchy, and it's stuff like that, man. That, you know, the left, the right, the Democrats, the Republicans, they're really like not moving against each other. You know, one side wants one thing and the other one wants the other, and they're not willing to meet anywhere in the middle. You know, and
I know.
And in some cases you can't meet in the middle. In some cases there's really no middle ground.
No, absolutely. And in those situations, I feel like, you know, we just kind of have to agree to disagree for now, and just be like, okay.
Then let's focus on the stuff that we can agree on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and focus on the stuff that we can agree on, and we can't just be like, well, we're just going to disagree on everything.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it doesn't work that way.
Dude, that is the worst cop-out argument I hear all the time. Let's just agree to disagree. no, let's sit down. Let's have this conversation. I want to understand you, and I want you to understand me.
Everything we should be trying to have a conversation about everything.
Absolutely.
And maybe even sometimes have multiple conversations that we could like have another talk show about the with the same topic again, maybe with new people who have a different perspective on it, who come from a maybe we talk about something and somebody says, oh, I have a really great story about that. Oh, well, come on, and
that's what I really love to do. I would love to do a feature where it's just stories of other people.
Absolutely.
I would love to, because there's so many crazy stories that no one ever hears about because a lot of people don't have platforms to share their stories on. So even if they did share it on
inspiring and uplifting stories too, stories where somebody had a change of heart. They went from being from believing something or view. I'm not even going to name anything in particular. I'm just going to be very vague and say stories about people who thought one way, and then all of a sudden, just because they either met somebody or because they were in a certain situation in their life or something, some experience, some opportunity happened upon them, and all of a sudden they had an epiphany, and they're like, whoa, I think differently now. I have a different perspective on this. I respect these people now, or I at least, I have a better understanding of them.
Yeah.
And I can vibe with them now.
Liz says to talk about specifics and not be super vague. And I'm just going to say that, the only reason I'm being vague with these kind of stories is because I really want these people to come up here and share
tell
their
stories
themselves,
Yeah. I'm not trying to make up stories that I don't know have happened. So I was being very
exactly. I don't want to be telling a story and be making up details along the way. I can tell stories about my own self.
Hi, Liz. I've never met you, but Tim says you're cool.
She's pretty cool. But for me, about understanding, for a long time I thought I wouldn't say I was, a homophobe, but I was very uncomfortable around people who I knew to be gay. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
don't know why I thought that. I just grew up that way.
I've met a lot of guys like that who used to be. I had never had anything wrong with it. I always just saw it as they just like different things.
Well, that's good, man. I'm glad you could say that. I really didn't understand it for a long time.
I think it's because of not necessarily my father, but more my mother. Like I said, my father has nothing against it, but it was more my mother that just instilled a very much love everybody no matter what.
Yeah, my parents are very much the same way.
You know what I mean? Don't treat anybody those were the values my mother instilled in me. Was just very Christian of her, love thy neighbor.
Yeah.
Those stereotypical Christian ideals, but they worked. And I'm not even a Christian. I'm not even religious at all. But she literally instilled those values in me. And I honestly
about religion. I'll let you finish. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I'm honestly very grateful. Thank you, Mom, for instilling those values in me and helping.
Yeah, thank you, Mom and Dad, for everything that you've done. Because I would not be here if you didn't teach me.
Mom, if you're listening to this, I love you.
I love you too. To my mom. Okay, so not to you.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, man. So for a while I just didn't understand, and then I started meeting people who were gay, and and I just kind of realized we're all trying to have a good time. We're all trying to live a good life,
Gay is okay.
Gay is okay. Yeah. But yeah, man, it really was just a matter of me, making friends with somebody.
Yeah.
And talking to them and being like, oh, there's obviously nothing wrong here. There's just another person. I don't know why I ever thought there was anything strange about it.
Honestly, and since you opened up about that, I will open up that I never had anything against them. I accepted them as people.
Sure.
From the get-go, I never said they don't have the right to exist, they don't deserve rights. I never thought anything like that. I just didn't understand trans when I first learned about it. I didn't understand it. It didn't make sense to me. I was like, I just didn't get it. It just seemed very,
and
not that it was bad. I didn't think it was bad. I just didn't understand how that person was feeling and why they would ever feel the need
it's an
to be
thing.
Another gender, or not have a gender, or identify as like some middle gender. I didn't understand that, and I still don't quite understand it, because I don't feel that way. But I have a
you
better.
should definitely talk to people that
Yeah, no. No, I have plenty of friends that are transgender, and I'm sure they would love to be on the show.
I have a story to tell you. I've only met a few trans people in my life. Actually, one of my friends, early childhood friends, ended up being trans.
Oh, what's up, Sean Andrade? A friend of mine from middle school.
Oh, nice. And so, for my friend, she now is a she. And so, for when it first happened, I was like, really? Like, I just didn't see it coming. But I'm like, good for her. Good for her. Because, I could tell that she was happier.
Yeah.
Instantly, she was on social media more. She was just more talkative. And, I could just tell that she was happy. And that, to me, was like, okay, as long as she's happy, I don't have to, I can't relate because I don't feel that way. But she's happy. And that that's the only thing that matters,
That's honestly the only thing that should matter to any of us.
Yeah.
When it comes to somebody else,
as long as you're not hurting anybody else. Perfect.
When it comes to what somebody else is doing in the privacy of their own home, as long as there is no harm being involved, unless the person wants harm. BDS is a thing.
Yeah,
okay?
True.
Unless they want to be harmed. And they better have a safe word.
Right.
That should always be illegal.
Yeah.
Harm or any sort of abuse, whether it's physical, emotional, that should always be discouraged. But whatever else is going on, sexually or who you want to be, how you want to look. And even in public, I don't care, as long as you're being you and you're happy with the way that you look. I saw this girl at the mall one time, she had on it was a gothic rainbow unicorn outfit, and honestly, it was the dopest thing I'd ever seen.
Yeah.
She totally stood out like a sore thumb. It was just whoa, what is this chick wearing?
Right.
But I was just you know what? She looks badass, and good for her that she has the confidence to just come out and wear that in public. I wanted to say something to her and just be I think you look awesome, but I didn't
Dude,
she probably would have appreciated it, but I don't know. I just I didn't want to be awkward. I just
I tell people all the time, dude. If I see someone just done their makeup, got a haircut, dressed particularly nicely, anything like that, I'm always hey, you look fantastic today.
Yeah, and she wasn't even there. She wasn't even there alone. At first, I thought she was there all alone, and I was like, is she really here all alone? And then her friend just came along, and they just started going to the mall together, and I was, perfect example of just another human being.
Yeah.
Who just wants to express themselves the way that they want to express themselves. As long as you're not harming children, harming anybody else, I don't understand why we should stop people. If two consenting adults are consenting, then let them do what they want.
Yeah,
it's
totally.
I mean, as long as nobody's overstepping a boundary, they completely understand what they're getting themselves into, and it's something that they want. Why should we ever feel like that person should not be able to be the way that they want to be? I don't understand that. Even if you think it's wrong, even if you think it's weird, even if you think it's against God,
there has to be some sort of degree here, because
so what?
Because you can't just say that if someone wants to be a certain way, then just let them be. Because
no.
But you did have that stipulation earlier with as long as they're not hurting anybody. It's super important that you include that, because
especially children.
I mean, I'm not sure how children got involved, but yeah, don't hurt children.
Well, because I mean, like I'm saying, there are people that hurt and abuse children, but we're not going to talk about that, right?
Yeah.
So I'm saying,
we can talk about it. We can talk about it. We have all the time in the world, man.
I mean, I didn't know if that was too dark of a topic to talk about right now.
Well, I'll talk about it because it kind of happened pretty recently. But I was in my history class, and we're talking about going to war, and is it right to have a draft? Because these people come back, changed, and that a lot of these negative
PTSD.
Parts of war and stuff. Yeah, exactly. And one thing led to another, and then my teacher was talking about how soft our generation is, and he's like, "Oh, you're 20-something. You're probably one of the softer generations, huh?" And I'm like, I don't want to have this conversation with this guy right now. This guy's like 80, so I don't. It just wasn't for me. I'm like, just teach me history, But so he asked for a raise of hands. He's like, does anybody believe in or has ever used a switch, or has have your parents ever used a switch on you, or who knows what a switch is, And so that was my first indication that there's several people in the classroom who A, knew what it was, and B, use it on their kids. Or not, I think the people who spoke up didn't use a switch on their kids, but they used their hands, shoes, ladles, spoons, whatever. But there's always something. But anyways, I spoke up against it. I'm like, whoa. Why are we talking about hitting kids? You know what I mean? And he was like, yeah, well, my dad used to take me in the back and, beat me until my butt was red. And then my grandfather would come home and he'd be like, oh, you made your dad beat you? Well, now I'm going to beat you for making him beat you. And I'm like, you don't see the problem with that? And he's like, well, I turned out just fine, and so did all my brothers. I'm like, just because you survived it doesn't mean that it was okay.
Right.
There are better ways to do it.
I love that. I love that old school mentality of like, well, it worked for me. We didn't die.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Like, how could that be, your solution to things?
Well, we were talking about this the other day. It's that old school generation versus new school generation divide.
Yeah.
And I think that's also where a huge divide happens in this country.
Yeah.
It's it's the 20-year-olds, which is what generation right now? Generation Z++.
Who knows?
And then it's the generation Y, which is you and I, and then it's generation X, which is people like in their 30s and 40s, and then it's the boomers and the boomers kids.
Yeah.
Boomers are like people in like their 80s and up, and like boomers kids are like 60s and 70s.
Right.
And that's where a lot of the divide comes. It's between those generations. And
well,
I mean,
it's a very conservative
I got no problem talking to my grandparents. Like, we can even get old people on the show. Like, I don't care.
Yeah, I don't mind. No, absolutely. Everybody's invited.
Everybody, just let us know.
So if you guys are watching and you want to come on the show and you want to be able to FaceTime us, and we can add you to a Skype call and have a, I would love to have 4 or 5 people on here talking. I think that'd be so much fun. Absolutely. That'd be a lot of fun, man.
Eventually, we'll have a studio and we'll just fly people in. But
that would be amazing. That'd be so much fun.
What? You need a plane from New York to Cali? All right, we got you.
Dude, I can't wait. I really hope that ends up happening.
It will.
Man, all the stuff that we'd be able to do.
You just gotta keep telling yourself it's gonna happen and keep working on it, and it will happen, Tim.
No, I know, but it's not just me. I think everybody needs to hear that too. That
no, I know. And I think everybody needed to hear that they just need to believe in themselves.
Yeah, for sure. So what else?
Oh man, I don't know what else is happening in America right now.
I mean, you sent me a couple things earlier. If we want to,
I did. Yeah, let's scroll through that. I mean, eventually we might have full episodes, after we've done a little more research on these topics. But we're just gonna give our opinions off the top of our head on certain things that we had come across,
I'll talk about specific
articles
stuff
on Facebook, articles on just the regular internet.
I'll be happy to talk about specific stuff if people in the comments want to talk about something specific. So if you guys are listening and you want to talk or hear our opinions about something, whatever it is, let us know. We're happy to talk about it, and we're definitely happy to hear your opinion on those things for sure.
So I think this is something important. U.S. Army is discharging immigrant recruits who were promised citizenship.
They're discharging them?
Yeah, they're like, in other words, they're no longer being given the immigration that they were promised.
I read a little bit about that.
I mean, it's from NPR, which I normally trust NPR to be like, they do lean left, but they are usually pretty straightforward. I know that there are some conservatives out there who would disagree with me on that.
Sure.
But that's my opinion of NPR. I see them to be pretty middle of the road for the most part.
Yeah.
I've even heard them, express the opinion, of the right wing and kind of say, like, they could understand it or something. I mean, I've heard them. They're just very more open-minded than I think a lot of other. Let's see.
So, I mean, from what I've read on it, basically the idea is that they don't want to automatically grant citizenship anymore through the typical means of, like, joining the military, getting married and stuff like that. So there's a lot of issues. I'm not sure what's going on, why they're trying to cut back on immigration.
It's so ridiculous.
It's one thing to, for the border. It's one thing to say that that's the cause. But I mean, you have people who are in the military who are trying to get their citizenship, and it's like, why wouldn't you want those people? You've already invested them at this point.
I know we're like trillions of dollars in debt, but despite that, we are still one of, if not the wealthiest nation in the world.
But that's powerful.
You're trying. I mean, there are other very wealthy nations. We may not be the wealthiest, but we are definitely the most powerful at the moment.
Yeah.
And you're telling me that we cannot afford to, after these people serve our country, we can't afford to say, all right, you're now an American citizen. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
You're really gonna, like, at least the people, like, you want to get rid of that policy. Okay, I still think it's a bad move, a horrible move, but at least the people that were already told that, like, don't take it away from them.
Yeah,
like,
sure.
You're gonna tell this guy who just shot at ISIS for you that he has to go back to China, or he has to go back to
wherever, yeah.
To wherever they came from, like, who knows? Because they come from all over the world, join the military, and expecting that they're gonna get, you're gonna be able to become citizens afterward, and now that's like, and I think that's a brilliant concept for the military to have. It's a brilliant way to integrate people into American society, and to get them to really understand what it is to be an American by having them join our military first. And now you're discouraging them from doing that.
Yeah.
That makes absolutely
I think
no
military service
sense
is one of the
whatsoever.
Best immigration methods. I mean, because like you said, you're educating them, you're teaching them skills.
I thought we were.
There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of benefits to going through, basic military training and through military in general, that, like, an immigrant would really benefit from. Plus, Americans benefit from, more people in the military. You know, so it seems to me like one of the best ways to do it.
And
so it kind of sucks that they're kind of shying away from that.
Yeah, and I mean...
But, I mean, Luke, my buddy Luke is watching, and if he knows anything more about that, because he's still in the Air Force, I think, he can maybe enlighten us. But
shine some light on that, Luke. Like, what's going on? Why are they doing this to,
if you know anything about it.
If you know anything about it, yeah.
But anyways, it's like, I don't know, man. Just, I have a hard time understanding why we can't, open our doors for people. I've said it before, if there was, because a common argument on the right side is typically, if someone showed up at your house and, asked for a bed and food, would you just let them into your house? I'd be like, absolutely, I would. Absolutely, without question.
Yeah, and I mean, there's... And I thought we were only concerned about illegal immigrants, like, not like what's wrong with somebody perfectly legally joining the military and then becoming a citizen? Like, why is that being now, discouraged or that policy being erased. Like I just don't understand that. I completely agree with illegal immigration. You need to come here legally, and to that point, most of the many of the people crossing the border, from like Mexico or other South American countries are coming here for asylum, and
that's exactly what I was going to say. Yep.
And crossing the border to seek asylum is perfectly legal.
Yep, absolutely is. People think that it's not, but it is.
Trust me, there are criminals that cross that border every day to smuggle drugs.
I don't even care. I don't even care.
That's going to happen anyway.
I'll take the bad with the good. They're going to come regardless.
They're going to figure out a way
that we take care of people that need help. That's the one thing that we can do. You know what I mean?
It's the only thing we should be trying to do. We should obviously actively be, going after these cartels and everything.
Honestly, we probably should be. But again, but I also don't want to support, sending American troops into all foreign affairs, because I really don't like America being this.
Well, no, that's an American affair. They're bringing drugs into America. So we should be going after these cartels that are bringing drugs into the United States. They've made it an American affair as soon as they crossed our border.
That's a good point.
Did they stay out of our country? You know what? All right. Mess up your own country. Later.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I would love to, make other countries better. And I don't mind extending that hand and being a voice for other countries as well. But I don't think that it's the United States' job or U.S. U.S. shouldn't always have to step in and spend money to do it. Yeah.
Right.
But we should definitely, or at least not the U.S. government. We for people that believe, in helping out. Like I personally strongly believe in that. And if there was like a rather than it being like a government program, if it was entirely run privately, I think these programs would work a lot better, and you might get because it would be a lot more genuine. It's not just going to be, they're doing it to push a political agenda. They're doing it to get immigrant votes. They're doing it to. It would just be these people are doing it out of the kindness of their hearts, and so someone would say, let's donate a few $1 million.
Yeah, what if there was a
what I
program?
mean? Like, people aren't donating, millions of dollars to the government to help out, because they know that the government's not going to use it for that. They know that the government would just be like, oh, it got lost.
Yeah, no, that's a huge problem. And I've talked about this before with the way government spending works is just so crazy. They spend so much money on the military and stuff that's important, but not the pinnacle of importance.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a country that's focused on the military, because, all those other great civilizations that had a focus on military over everything else, they were such great civilizations. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't work out.
We need a strong military. I won't deny that, because there are other countries. Then again, most of the countries that would want to that would want to hurt America is mostly because we've done something to them first.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Middle East.
Yeah, that's a whole other story.
For everything that Britain and the United States have done to the Middle East.
Yeah, and I know we only have a few minutes left, because we're trying to keep it under an hour.
Then again, the Middle East is not innocent either, but that's the last thing I'm going to say about that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, and I think we should pick this conversation up next week and talk more about, because I really wanted to talk about 9/11 real quick, because it was just just the other day.
Absolutely.
So I'm able to take like 2 minutes and just talk about that. But like, a lot of people don't realize that it's still kind of up in the air what exactly happened, first of all, and second of all, we need to understand that even though what happened, the reactionary way that a lot of Americans go about things is not okay, and the government really played into it, and they knew that we were going to be reactionary and angry, and so they took that and they sent it like, oh, you want to be angry? Be angry at those guys. You know what I mean? and whether it was for profit, for oil, or control, or military gain, whatever it was, you know, it's just not right. You know, everything that we've done is just not right over there, man. You know, for a long time I've been looking at, you know, pictures and videos of American attacks. You know what we haven't talked about, and I'll use probably like the last 5 minutes to tell this story real quick.
Yeah.
The reason that I finally decided that I wanted to get out of the military was on my deployment to Qatar. I helped supply these these like photograph planes, they're reconnaissance planes. And so, because as part of this unit, I got to watch, you know, footage of, you know, what we were doing, what our planes were doing. And so I got to watch a lot of bombings. And so when they showed it, I was expecting a solemn affair. I was expecting us to be like, oh man, it really sucks that we have to, you know, blow all this stuff up, you know, to try to keep the enemy under control. But it wasn't like that. People were cheering, and like, you know, the guy who was hosting this whole event was, you know, saying, oh, these guys are ISIS, blah, 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 blah. You can see he's carrying an AK-47. This guy's carrying an RPG, blah, blah, blah. Here's our plane. Boom, they're gone. And everyone's cheering, and I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. These are real people. You know, we don't know who they are. You're telling me that they have an AK-47 and an RPG. You're telling me that they're ISIS. You're telling me that they're bad guys. I don't know that. I don't feel comfortable with this. You know what I mean? And I was the only one that felt that way. And I'm like, I don't belong here. I don't believe in you know, bombing everyone. And yeah, I just don't see that being like a good thing. And so that's, well, I mean, that was the day that I decided I had to go.
Yeah, I mean, I don't personally see anything wrong with if verified, you know.
Verified, sure, but he was just telling us. You know,
bombing ISIS, like, you know, if you're absolutely sure, like, you know, you've got intel that says yes, this is Daesh,
yeah,
which is their acronym for what they call themselves.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if they had, but it seems to me like I mean. Then again, I don't know. Like maybe you didn't have the clearance that they did.
Very possible. Very possible.
So I mean, I'm just, you know, I'm just playing devil's advocate.
No, I totally get that. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But at the same time, yeah, I mean, but I can understand your feeling. You were just like, you know, you know, I think you were more disturbed that they were just cheering it on.
That was the biggest part for me. I was very shocked that everyone was so excited about it, because I just was not even close to feeling that way.
Well, to them, they see that as you know, the enemy, and they're now squishing the enemy. And right. I feel like that mentality, while sometimes, yeah, an enemy does sometimes need to be squashed because they're just not going to stop. But yeah. we've lately, as a country, been just, you know, squashing every enemy that comes toward, no matter what side we're on, and it's not even, you know, enemies that are actually posing any harm. Literally just people that disagree. People that disagree that are now being. Excuse me. Of course, I have the hiccups right now.
Yeah. So
people that disagree, you know, I just be, you know, oh, now that's my enemy because they have a different opinion than I do. So I'm gonna yell, and I was like that at one point for like a while. I would, you know, rant and rave on Facebook, and it didn't get me anywhere. I realized that I was spreading two different messages, and people were only feeding onto one of them.
Yeah.
And that was the negative one.
So just real quick before we sign up and everything, I just want to say that, like, a big part of my philosophy has always been to question everything. Anything anyone ever tells you, you know, you can trust but verify is one thing that my dad always taught me. Trust but verify. But question everything, for sure. You look into things yourself. Don't, just because you see it on TV, just because you hear it from a friend, I don't care how much you trust them, look it up for yourself. Really look into things. Come up with your own opinions, because when we just repeat opinions from other people, you know, that's how miscommunications happen. That's how misunderstandings happen. So just try to avoid that. But that's all I've got for today.
Yeah, I mean I think that pretty much wraps it up. We started on the topic of understanding, and we just brought it back full circle to talking about that again at the end. So I mean, I think now is the better time than any to say thank you so much for watching.
Thanks guys, seriously, so much for watching. I've seen several people come into the chat. A couple of comments. I really want you guys to be more active. Like, the more active you are, the more conversations we get to have, the more specific we get to be. Really, a lot of this, I mean, it looks like we're on TV, and it looks like we're doing all the work, but a lot of this is going to come down to you guys because we're going to run out of stuff to talk about.
And we want. Plus, this isn't really about us. This isn't about.
It's not about us. It's not just about Sean and Tim.
We were talking about the vision that we have for this show and that, but. Those are all great,
things we want to do for sure.
But that's not why we're doing this, and that's not what this is about.
This is very much an attempt at a community project to work together, to educate, to be peaceful, to love each other, to learn, and to bridge the gaps between the people that are so divided in this country. So again, thanks so much for listening, for watching us. I really appreciate you guys. Hopefully we'll see you guys next week. Don't forget to like the page. If you haven't already, go to the YouTube. It's still WTF America on YouTube. Give us a like and a subscribe there. And hopefully we'll be posting these videos and stuff like that there, so you can watch the whole thing, and you wouldn't have missed anything. So we're gonna post this live. We're gonna officially post this live feed to Facebook. We will port it to YouTube, and just tune in. We'll be here again 7 p.m. next Friday. Please comment throughout the week. Tell us what you thought. Any questions you want to know. Anything you want to talk about. Just interact with us, on any platform, or send us a direct message if you want to. I'm always available. So
if you want to be featured not featured, but if you want to be a guest, like a guest feature,
right?
But you have to tell us what you want to talk about and why you want to be a guest. We don't really want to have guests just because I want to talk, I want to be on the show. I mean, that's great, but what do you want to talk about? Like, what are you bringing to the table for this episode that that's going to make us really like, okay, yeah, you deserve to be on here. Let's get your message out there. Let's have your voice heard.
Right.
So you have something like that, let us know. We can't choose everybody. We'll eventually try to do everybody, but it's we gotta go at one at a time, and it's only one show a week. So
and the last thing I want to say. Go ahead. I'll let you finish. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say. All I was gonna say is just please reach out to us. That's it.
Yeah, and again, talking about that, reaching out to us. We talked about it earlier. If you're in an abusive relationship or anything like that, if you are afraid of anything, if you're afraid, whether it's your parents, your siblings, whatever the issue.
Boyfriend, girlfriend.
Yep, whatever it is.
Husband, wife.
Let someone know. It doesn't have to be me. It doesn't have to be Sean. Anybody, reach out for help. I really do care about you.
You got a Facebook stalker? Let us know.
Yeah. So, anyways, we'll see you guys next week. It was great talking to you guys. Have a good one.
Love you guys.
See you, Sean.
See you. I was telling to the audience, not you.